Do, 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 do. Welcome to the Friends with Benefits podcast, a business podcast about revenue-generating partnerships, not a podcast about business time with friends. We're your co-hosting couple. I'm Jason.
And I'm Sam. Welcome to the show, friends.
Welcome back to the show, friends. We are so excited to be back. I sometimes wish that we could say that more frequently than once a week, but, you know, we do what we can do with the time that we have. Sometimes a lot of things just happen throughout the course of a week, like you just got a new job.
I did, and that's been in process for more than a week, but yes, I did.
Yeah, a little bit over a week as those things go. I was having that conversation with somebody this morning that companies love to drag out the job recruiting process, but yours was pretty quick.
It was pretty quick. 3 weeks. This is week 3.
Whew. Well, congratulations. Where are you at?
I am at a new company called Invisory.
Sounds fancy.
Very fancy. We help partners get the most out of marketplaces. So Azure, AWS, GCP, but I specifically focus on, you want to guess?
Probably a little shop called Salesforce.
Yep, the blue cloud.
Yeah, you're the girl with cloud. If you didn't see the LinkedIn post, that probably doesn't make sense. But however, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about probably our most tasty episode to date.
It was pretty sweet.
Yes. Pretty excited about this one, actually. We had Grayson from the most beloved of all internet treats, Grove Cookie Company. You may have seen their post on LinkedIn.
And if you haven't had a Grove cookie, do whatever you have to do to get one.
Yeah, slide up into our DMs and see what we can do to hook you up with that and change that. But my God, they're so good. But here's what I love about this interview. Grayson and I jumped on a call to kind of meet each other and chat. He started telling me his story, and I was like, this is so good that I want to record this on the podcast and share it with our friends. And you took some good value away from it as well, right?
Yeah, I loved this conversation. I mean, what I learned from this, what I took away from this was I feel like everybody approaches partnerships that you have to have a baked strategy. You have to have a team to do this. And Grayson proves us all wrong. And I think he really showcased how building relationships can change the trajectory of your small business.
Absolutely.
And it can start from a very grassroots place. And you just have to start putting yourself out there, asking the right people, and partnerships will change the game.
100%. And, you know, if not, cookies always help. He called them a relationship enhancer, and I couldn't agree more. So this is more of a how I built this episode around how you build your business with partnerships. And I think it was pretty fascinating. One thing to call out that I did do some sleuthing on the internet on, he said he does 125,000 cookies a year. So is what he's projecting for this year. That's a lot of cookies. And that's a hell of a lot more cookies than the average boutique bakery does in a year.
I would guess that's true.
That's pretty freaking incredible for a guy that doesn't even have a storefront and just ships through his partners. So, without that, grab a glass of milk and buckle up for this Grove Cookie Company interview.
If you give a friend a cookie.
Oh, boy. Grayson Hogard, the self-proclaimed cookie man. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Well, hi, Jason. Hi, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm so excited. Like, we both come from the gifting space. We'll get into this a little bit more, but we've been lucky enough to have been gifted some of your cookies, and words don't do them justice.
No, not at all. Like, for those listening at home, Grayson here, Grove Cookie Company, right? Give us a little, tell us a little bit about Grove Cookie Company real quick.
Yeah. Well, Grove Cookie Company, we're a cookie company that really is tailored and specialized for the B2B community and really enhancing the gifting experience and relationship for our users.
Enhancing the tastiness of gifting.
Well, there you go.
If you're on LinkedIn, no doubt you've probably seen some Grove Cookie Companies come across your feed, and like Sam said, we've been privy enough to have a few at our doorstep. So before we jump into all the conversation here, I gotta know, man, like, what's your favorite flavor? What's your favorite cookie that you guys push out there? Who's your favorite kid?
Yeah. So my favorite cookie is their snickerdoodle cookie, and we do not have it on the menu. So it's like secret
There's a
menu.
snickerdoodle cookie.
Yeah. Yeah. So one day we'll bring it back. It's just it's a difficult
Oh.
cookie to ship because of all the sugar and cinnamon on it. So if you've seen how we package our cookies, put that in with other cookies, they're just all going to be kind of that residue.
Sam
Man, you're
can-
breaking hearts here. That's
Yeah.
Jason's
I know.
love language.
That is
I
my
know.
favorite cookie, and there's not even a close second place.
Yeah, we need to change that. We'll probably change it. Don't worry. 2024.
Just sugar and cinnamon on the side.
oh,
Can you,
right,
like-
yeah, like a little packet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
DIY.
cookie kit. Yeah. Man, put the cookie signal up when you release that cookie, get into the wild, because I will find a way to get some of those.
Perfect. I will do that.
Okay, so I want to dive into this business because as we're going to go through this conversation, it's so unique. It's like wildfire on the LinkedIn ecosystem in the gifting space. Like if you've had a Grove cookie, you understand what we're talking about, but even if you haven't, like Grayson has done a phenomenal job of building kind of this following, this cult following for cookies, if I'll say, on LinkedIn. So let's go back to the very beginning. I've heard you talk a little bit about this, and you said your wife, quote unquote, picked up baking during COVID. I like baked some banana bread during COVID, and I'm so far from having a banana bread company. So there's got to be more to it than that. What? Give us the play by play.
Well, I'll try to keep it compact. So 2020, everything's going on. My wife's working from home. I was still traveling at my corporate job. And she just was like, I want like a side hustle, like to, just kill time kind of deal between meetings. And she started with cupcakes, whatever. And then she made the cookies that we currently have, which one of them, the first one was the Oreo cookie. And I just remember biting into it, and I'm just a soft cookie fan. And I was like, ooh,
Yes.
these are really soft. And just kind of led its way through the holidays of 2020. And then in 2021, right around the beginning of January, she's like, I think we should start selling these. And over the weekend, we basically, got a website, EIN number for taxes, a separate bank account, just kind of like this whole like start a business.
Did the thing.
Steps. And like I said, got our website domain, per email. And January 31st we launched. And really it was just like, I'll help you because that's just what I thought I should do.
It's what a good spouse does, Grayson.
That, I like to say that. Half the battle, I couldn't imagine saying, nah, I'm cool. But
I'm gonna watch football instead.
Yeah. I don't come from like a sales and marketing background. So it was kind of intriguing in that sense of like trying to like market cookies, where Instagram was kind of like that focal point at the very beginning. So.
That's incredible.
Yeah, sorry, Jay, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, where did the name Grove Cookie Company come from?
It's my wife's maiden name, Marie Grove.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Love it.
So yeah, no, I think it's great. I always like to say a Hogard cookie just doesn't have the ring, Grove just sounds way better.
Yeah.
And like the logo design and all that stuff, like starting a business was so fun because we did it in like a day. We had everything done like by Saturday night. Started on Friday evening. Saturday night we were like, all right, here you go. So yeah.
I love
that's
that.
incredible.
No toiling over it.
No.
It's also like one of those things that, like, Sam, you and I talk about this a lot. Like when you step into the path you're kind of supposed to be in, like things just kind of line up and they're easier to take care of and get done. It's like the universe is like, all right, we've got all these things set up and prepared for you. You stepped into this plan, like boom, here it is, go.
Yeah. I agree.
And so for you guys, it was, getting this cookie thing going, and man, look at you now.
Yeah. But it's been fun.
So. You and I were chatting the other day, and really enjoyed our conversation, which kind of led to this recording. I was like, man, we got to have this recorded. But really like something you said around cookies being more than just a delicious treat.
Yeah.
Like from your perspective, like break that down for me. Like, yes, like I do freaking love myself a snickerdoodle cookie, the cake cookie or whatever you guys send out. Like I will, stop everything I'm doing just for that. But
It's
what you're
true.
delivering in market, like what does that mean to you, Grayson Hogard, as cookie being more than a delicious treat?
Yeah, well, I really look at cookies, especially ours, as a relationship enhancer. Um, Meaning and
Nice.
reason for that is, Jason, you kind of just confessed your love of cookies. Well, sharing that same love of cookies, say with Sam or a colleague or a prospect or a client, and then being able to kind of like bond over that, like, hey, which one was your favorite cookie? Or just the simple touch point of the cookies and the thoughtfulness behind it. Um, it really just in the digital world, especially, everyone's remote or however that kind of lays out for most people. Um, you just add that little nice touch
A little
of
touch.
just relationships. So
And
And
it's memorable and thoughtful
yeah,
and all of the above.
yeah,
it kind of reminds me, Sam, of the Heath Brothers book, made moments, something about
The
moments.
power of moments.
Power of a
yeah,
moment, yeah. And
yeah,
cookies, like as you see on LinkedIn, and as I was first introduced to them, like it was a moment in someone's day, right? And they
yeah,
posted it, which created a moment in someone else's day. And so, like you got these little moment makers that's
yeah,
also shareable as well as eatable.
yeah. No, that's exactly right. It's I always rag on the $25 gift card, but really a $25 gift card is just a forgettable bookmark.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously,
Whereas a box of cookies, you know, I'm going to see that box of cookies and I know it has a shelf life and I know I'm going to eat them. I
Totally.
exactly.
know I have a higher likelihood of responding to the person that sent them to me versus the forgettable gift card. So,
Okay, so I want to go down this path for a minute because this we went from your wife wanting to make cookies
yes.
to taking the B2B space by storm and now
Yeah.
being almost a crucial part to prospecting and outreach from a guy who knew nothing about cold calling or marketing. So, can you walk us through that journey of how we went from let's start a cookie company to now we're part of a sales funnel?
Yeah. Well, I kind of touched on it when we launched in January of 2021. We like really had this thought of like, yeah, we'll post photos on Instagram and people will love it and come to our townhouse and buy them. You just realize that's just not going to happen. And my background's in logistics and warehousing. And my buddy, who him and his dad have a financial firm, wealth advisory practice, I should say, had the cookies and we're like, hey, we need like new client gifts. I'm tired of sending like boxes of chocolates and $15 Starbucks gift cards. Can you ship these
Steaks.
cookies? And I was like, of course, I'm a little confident in my shipping and packaging abilities. And so, yeah, shipped him cookies the next day. He got them. He's like, hey, they didn't break and they're still soft. We want to, start using these for our client birthday. So half his clients, it was like a list of 500 clients that were starting to get boxes of Grove cookies. So you're just
Wow.
like, in your mind, you're like, oh, you're like 500 clients just like that from one contact. Obviously, it's my
Mm-hmm.
buddy. So fairly simple transaction in that idea. So we were rolling with them. They're still our longest client. Let's just say that we still work with them every week. But for
It's good
6 months, we were just working with them and then just kind of fielding like square orders. People would order pickup from our townhouse. And my same buddy was like, dude, why don't you call other wealth advisors and see like what they're doing for client gifting? We all do the same thing. It's like in our like
Mm-hmm.
doctrine, client marketing, like we need referrals. Like how do you stay on top, top of mind with them? And so, there's all tips and tricks and stuff. And so yeah, I picked up the phone because that's what all my buddies in SaaS sales did, while we were growing up. And I heard all the stories, the war stories. And yeah, I just started calling, and it's pretty simple because every office of a wealth advisor has a front desk person who answers the phone, and 9 times out of 10, that front office person handles all the gifting. So it kind of built up its own confidence, right? Like if I was getting yelled at or I don't know, I'm talking about cookies and I really lead off with that most people kind of like guard down.
Like,
It just
very
makes
fair point.
it makes the whole calling experience pretty easy. I couldn't imagine calling someone about data enrichment. I call people about
No
nothing.
offense to the
Yeah.
listeners who do that.
I call you about soft and delicious cookies. You want to try a sample box? Like, I mean, really, who's going to be mad about that? So yeah, so
Seriously,
that's
I'd return that.
that.
I'd return that voicemail.
Yeah, well, thank you. I've had a few return voicemails. So, that's kind of how it like snowballed at the beginning, and that was kind of our run through 2021, leading into 2022, which is kind of where things changed to where we are now. But I'll stop there.
No, that's. I think it's great. Let's go to where you are now.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about partnerships, and obviously Sam and I are both come from the partnership world. You've got some pretty great partnerships in the space. So like, how did that start off? Getting into Postal and Sendoso, and how did that begin, and what have you learned from that?
Yeah. Well, our first partnership experience was with Postal. Um, Two of my other buddies who work in SaaS, their company at the time was using Postal, and they wanted to start sending cookies. Um, they're like, well, we have a gifting platform. Get on the gifting platform. It's just makes it easier from an accounting standpoint. And Postal was very kind and just let us on to the platform. I don't know what I said, did, or whatever, but they were like, yeah, we'd love to have you. Just send us your product. We'll make sure it, kind of lives up to the shipping and presentation standards they had. And of course we did it, and they loved it, and we were onboarded. So that was our first partnership. And like within 2 weeks, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Because, Postal has its own client base. So now you get, companies worth tens of millions of dollars with their own employees who have their own prospects and accounts to target are now, being funneled through our storefront, Shopify storefront. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. It's way easier than cold calling wealth advisors. And
Did you in that first 2 weeks? Did you start to see like an immediate pickup
yeah,
or traffic?
yeah,
Like, what were you seeing?
yeah. So it was an immediate pickup. So within that first month, we had 100 orders come in from Postal. So typical like wealth
Okay.
advisor, if you get a big one, is like 25 orders a month. Well, Postal did 100, and so you're just like,
Was
whoa.
that
Yeah.
hard for you guys to scale with? Like, were you prepped for that? What was?
Well, we live in a 1,500 square foot townhome, so no, we were not, but we made it work.
Do
We
you at
turned the
least have
whole-
a double oven?
No, oh my gosh.
Oh, boy.
It's so funny, not to go down that sidetrack, but when we were looking for a house,
Let's do it.
we were like, we need to have a double oven because we need more space for cookies. And that was like our biggest like holdup from buying a house. So we never eventually bought a house because we couldn't find one with like the double oven in the price point.
Couldn't
So,
find the oven.
couldn't find the oven space. But so when you deal with that influx, you're just like, all right, well, the family room is just going to be the shipping and distribution area. And so you can imagine we just, the kitchen was the bakery. The family room was the distribution and shipping station. And we just kind of made it work. Yeah. And so, month 2, saw like 125. And then month 3 was like 230. And at this same point, we were already like made the determination we need to get out of the house. Prior to Postal, because you're not supposed to be shipping products out of your house.
There's
that
probably
are
some
food.
laws around
There's-
that.
Probably.
Well, yeah, Oregon has some interesting laws where you could sell them at a farmer's market. You just can't ship them nationwide without being in a registered facility. We found that out. We honestly did not know that. And so we were already kind of being pushed to get a bakery. But it just so happened that, we hopped onto Postal. So it made the whole bakery expansion idea like, oh, this won't be as scary potentially, right? Because you just don't know. You don't know how these things are going to work. And so we rolled through the summer just on Postal. And I mean, it was great. Once I kind of figured out what Postal did, and I figured out there's similar competitors, I guess you would call them, that do the similar thing with their own clients. I was like, I should apply to them. And so Sendoso is the biggest one that I don't know really, but yes, they seem to be the biggest one. There you go.
Accepted.
Yeah, I remember applying and they were like, we're tapped out of vendors, we don't.
Classic.
Yeah, and I totally get it. Like, honestly, yeah, we're a commodity. So, um, that's where I kind of learned marketing, and how to differentiate yourself in a commoditized, category, right? So, and that's where LinkedIn, really flourished because
What were some
I
of the
think I
things you began
applied
to do
in,
at that point to really differentiate
yeah,
yourself?
yeah. So, kind of at that same point, we hopped onto Postal. I had always been sending out samples, free samples. That's like been our biggest marketing strategy, right? Like, who's going to buy cookies off the internet from a stranger without trying them and then send them to their clients? So I was like,
Fair.
this makes cold calling easier and everything else in my life easier. Just by sending you a sample, I'll take the hit even if you don't buy it. Um, so yeah, so just kind of sending samples without any ask. I literally never asked anyone for anything. I was just sending samples and people were posting photos of like, hey, you can get these cookies on Postal now. They're so good. They're so soft, kind of just that feedback. And I started noticing that trend. And, I think people started seeing it enough. And then, the people at Sendoso started seeing it. And then that's where, my application got brought up again. And they asked if we wanted to be on
Classic
their
case of
platform.
FOMO.
Yeah. So they asked if we wanted to be on the platform. And of course I said, yes, please. We were just about to move into our shop. And so it was just a perfect partnership opportunity at that point. And, I'm not going to say no and love to work with them. And yeah, we're still partners on there. And that was my first, like light bulb of like, oh, well, this is marketing.
Yeah.
This is how you differentiate yourself. You just continue, marketing and thinking outside the box and thinking of new ways to like bypass every other vendor who's just going to go to the submit a vendor, form. I'll just go the social media route and get eyeballs on my product.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we did that one.
Okay, so are you still cold calling?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have
Okay.
it. I did yesterday. Yeah. Yeah.
And are you like, has your has your ideal customer changed? Like, are you cold calling now other vendors, or are you still cold calling like individual companies to sell or send your cookies?
So, my strategy is very funny. So, I still cold call wealth advisors, but I do it a little different.
Okay.
I utilize direct mail, our own product. I'll send it to their office first, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to call them. They're going to get a sample box for having to deal with me. But I found it's very effective to send them a box of cookies and then call them after they receive it, the next day after I get notified. And they're like, oh, we love the cookies. How do we intertwine these into our client gifting?
Gotta get
It's way
more.
easier. Yeah. Well, it's a big thing I champion here on my LinkedIn profile. I'm like, yo, just freaking send it and forget it. And call them, once they get it. So, yeah, that's how my outreach strategy has been on our own. And then, obviously there's people that utilize the Sendosos, the Postals, the Alice, Reach Desk, Invest, platforms that we're partners on. And those people kind of just find me naturally, if you will, on LinkedIn. Because, I give those companies, I give our partners shout outs all the time. And I feel like that's like the definition of being a strong partner in marketing your partners. So, we're small.
Agreed.
We're a small little minnow, but I like to think it's fun to support one another. And that's my ethos on partnerships 101 right there.
I think you got it pretty nailed. I would say
thank you.
that makes a really, really great partner. If it's if the sharing and the value is reciprocal in the partnerships, and like that makes a great partnership.
Yeah.
Right. And
I agree.
we know for a fact, we've got the product to prove it, that you're providing a ton of value to the Sendosos, Postals, Alice's of the world. Right. Because you're there. We probably see more of your product shared around than just about anything that these gifting platforms are sent. And there's massive value in that from a partnership perspective when your partner's product is being shared, just about more than anyone's. That shows them they've got a great, opportunity to do more with that partner.
Yeah. It's just it's a batch made in heaven. That was gonna come out regardless.
Oh,
That was gonna come out regardless. I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
It's just like it's like a fun deal, and like we talked on our call, Jason. I like talk about our partnerships a lot because they make our job really fun and engaging. Because us personally here at Grove Cookie Company, we like take it like to heart that we're helping the CSMs, at the Sendosos, the Postals, wherever, accomplish their mission because they have clients that they're servicing, and whatever we can do as their partner to be faster, more efficient, better product, over the top like customer service to them, I know it like vibrate down to their clients because, well, reality is when they need a quick hit from a vendor, they're going to think of Grove Cookie Company because
yeah.
our relationships with them and how hard we work for them really comes back at the end of the day. I believe. Again, we've only been doing this for a year, but.
Well, to Jason's point, I do think you have it nailed. I mean, I think I overheard him talking to you, but we both come from the gifting space from another vendor called PFL. Very similar concept. And when you're gifting, there's a lot of things at play here. You're selling the conversion rate on the other end of that gift. But that conversion rate only happens if everything you just talked about is table stakes. So the partner delivers. The product is great. It's a really good experience. And that's the value you can bring to your partners. And I love that because it's a little bit different than the typical SaaS play of like customer list and shared ACV. And it's like, nope, we're going to deliver a great experience every time. And that's worth so much to the end user and to the company. So
for those that are not watching on YouTube, Grayson has on a great shirt, CAAS, obviously, which would be Cookies as a Service, right? I love that. And I've worked with a lot of services partners, been in the SaaS space for a while. And what I love about Cookies as a Service, and Sam, what you just mentioned, is that you're delivering a service that is, well received and wanted and desired. And it's not something that is directly reflected in like ARR or upsell or retention and stuff like that, but you're delivering like a surprise and delight motion for your partners, for those CSMs and account managers, and that's it's got to be one of the most utilized arrows in their quiver to deliver success and value to their customers.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure.
Right on. So that, all that to wrap up is that, instead of looking at your typical service providers from like, hey, who can help our customers be more successful? Look at your partner service providers as how can they surprise and delight.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I like that.
So I've heard you say when you stay active on LinkedIn, weird doors open for you. And we've kind of just talked about how you're putting your foot forward, and things are just happening for you. And I first of all, props to you because you're putting your foot forward, which most people don't do. So taking action breeds results. But how are you personally learning to build relationships and network through these cookies via LinkedIn? Like, how much time are you spending on that, and what strategies are you implementing?
Gosh, that's a great question. My strategy, I really, it seems to be more is coming our way, than me having to kind of like generate it as of late, like really the last like 8 months, it's been kind of that way. But it's so bad to say, I really don't have like a big strategy. Like I don't have like a target list and I'm like going after it and hitting it hard every day. It's like, I literally just have fun on my LinkedIn. I post goofy memes.
I think that's a strategy.
I do think it's a strategy, believe it or not. Like do you guys listen to Chris Walker, or do you know who that is?
I do. Yep.
Yeah. He just talks about how like his clients have seen success of memes on like Reddit. And it's just funny to hear like someone of his like stature to go, yeah, I've seen memes like work from like an advertising and from a memory, kind of driving opportunities. So my strategy really just involves really kind of getting a better understanding of like who our customers are. So that's your sales, really your revenue professional, and really what's helping them be more successful. And I really find that all through LinkedIn.
Love it.
I just do. Like people send it to me. People will send me like their win-loss report or how Grove Cookie Company opened the door to a stalled deal that was like 90% there, and it leads to some kid, a gentleman sent me an update on his. He was going to get one account prior to sending this guy a box of cookies, and he sent a box of cookies to this gentleman, and it turned into a 40x deal, the biggest deal in his company's history. They deal with apartment complex like technology, so really the product they're selling works, but the box of cookies kind of added that extra little cookie on top, cherry on top, if you will, to the whole entire experience.
Little sugar and cinnamon on top.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
so
I think that it doesn't sound like you are, but don't take this for granted, because those types of like success stories and case studies, oh my God, any marketer would kill to get those. And they're just like ending up in your DMs.
They're in my DM. Yeah, there was one that came in the other day was like with a Slack update, like saying CRO got back to me after I sent him a box of Grove Cookie Company cookies. They're gonna up their what do they call that? Their contract to add like 6 more seats to like their, I'm just, it's just the box of cookies reminded the CRO to get back to the account executive, and there you go. They got 6 more seats to their contract. So, $25 box of cookies lead to,
Is that the end user that's sending that to you, like the customer, or is that Sendoso, Postal, or somebody sharing that data with you?
No, that's the end user. So someone, I don't even know if they use a gifting platform, but he just sent me it. And it was just a screenshot from the Slack channel, just like, here's what I did. Here's how it happened. Here's what I did to move it over the line, or, they're just upselling someone. So I'm still learning all this stuff, to be honest with you.
No, it's great.
I'm not from the background. Yeah.
I don't think you got it. How do you expand on those relationships? Like once they reach out to you, like how do you begin to develop that relationship, build community with them, and kind of go further down the road?
Well, I send them a box of cookies.
Nice. Cookies, baguette cookies.
It's the funniest thing. I know. It was the funniest thing. I go, yo, this is freaking awesome. Here's a box of cookies. Thanks for that. Or, I don't really do the best job of like intentionally fostering the relationship. I think people kind of just get into the Grayson ecosystem of LinkedIn, and we just comment and like each other's stuff, and there's not too much of like I don't know. I don't want to call it a checklist, but there's not a checklist of how Grayson's going to foster this relationship. It just happens. Like people get it, that see it work, right?
Well, I think we're recent followers of each other on LinkedIn. You do a really good job of engaging and creating community around your product and around your brand. And if you think about it in the context of relationships, like I don't go down the street with a checklist of people that I want to like, I want to meet this guy. Here's the checklist of things that I want to do. It's like you kind of let it happen organically, and you work with what you got, and you share the value within that relationship. And I think that's key and crucial to anything. And I think there's a lot to be learned here from sales teams, right? And how you approach it, and build it organically, and really support one another and provide value and work with what you've got.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I agree 100%. I just feel also I learned through LinkedIn that a lot of companies have checklists of how they want people to just do certain things. Just everyone has like here's a relationship checklist. Make sure you're doing it with all our clients. And it's like, geez, Louise, people, how about you just act natural and send them
Yeah.
cookies? But
If you work from a
Man.
checklist, you're going to feel like you're being worked from a checklist.
Yeah.
so yeah.
Okay, so
Love
I
it.
want to go into this too, because this kind of leads into where I was thinking next. Like, organically and authentically building these relationships. Like, similarly, somebody posted some Grove cookies. I commented on it, and immediately you were in my inbox, being like, and it was great. It was a great experience, and I was like, that's awesome. And so you guys have seen, like, you post these numbers in your bio on LinkedIn. If my math's correct, from 2021 to 2022, you grew by 240% in terms of cookies you sent, which is insane. So, like, how are you planning for growth and scaling while still maintaining this authenticity and, like, the love of the cookie?
Yeah. It's such a great point. So those numbers are so funny that you brought that up. So that 2022 number, I think it was like 55,000 or something like that. 55,000
Ish.
cookies
Many
delivered.
cookies.
Yeah. Well, through Q1 to this Q3, we're already at 123,000 cookies delivered. So we still have Q4.
Well done.
Well done. So we still have Q4.
We
So
haven't got
what's
to the
crazy-
holidays yet.
Yeah, we haven't got to the holidays. So it's crazy when you think about it like that, because I forgot about that 2022 number, and now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, well, we're fortunate to have a team. So we have we moved out of the house, have our own bakery, and really scale from a physical product standpoint really comes down to your operations, especially when you're on these gifting platforms, right? Like, it'd be a little different story if I was having to stand up my own sales org and own marketing department. It's like, at the moment, I can kind of do most of it. We do have a front office coordinator who helps with the more B2C side, social media, Instagram, Facebook. But his scales, really keeping our focus on what we believe to be the most important part of the cookie package sent by Grove Cookie Company, which is that gift message with your logo on it, if you add it. That has been, I think about it quite often, is like, how does that scale to when you're doing like 1,000 orders a day, right? So, that's not all computer generated. I mean, it is copy and paste, but a lot of work, and then a lot of
Absolutely.
collaborating it to the right shipping label, to the right packing slip, to all those operational things that I don't know if a lot of people are like aware. I don't, in the technology space, it flows a lot cleaner than in the manufacturing space. Seems like there's a tool for everything. In manufacturing, it's human tools, right? Like, in the sense of, like, we're using our hands. You got to, making sure things are correct. So when I think of scale, I really just go to the operation side of things, of like, how do we as a company continue to deliver what is expected of us and what we've already set the bar to, right? Because the last thing you want to do is start lowering your bar. You want to maintain the bar, and everyone else is down here because they send, a gift message on a packing slip in size 4 font. Most people don't even know who sent it, that you never read. That it's always top of mind for me. So that's when I think of scale, that's how I go. I literally think about that gift message and how do I make that more efficient from a growth standpoint and all that.
To kind of the point Sam's making is like, how do you maintain that authenticity as you scale? So that's exactly kind of the vein you're in. And I almost wonder if, like, any of these, imagine some of these partners out there can help you maintain some of that authenticity as much value as you provide to them. And so therefore there's the value in the partnerships yet again.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like actually getting a little uncomfy thinking about my past life at PFL, because that's what we did. We were a direct mail company, and exactly what you're talking about. It's not fully automated SaaS. There is absolutely a human element. And, I think you talked about how your background is in shipping and logistics warehousing. Like, I'm going to make an assumption and assume that this is not how you thought you would use that knowledge, but it's probably coming in handy now for you.
Yeah, I mean, I said it back in 2021 when I shipped my first box of cookies to my buddy, and I remember saying it to him. I'm like, wow, I'm glad I spent the last 10 years in the warehouse and logistics, because that was really easy to package a box of cookies. I couldn't imagine, trying to start a shipping company without that background.
Yeah.
That's the operations to shipping and ensuring, product leaves your facility in one piece and arrives at the end destination in one piece is its own
totally
labor intensive process that's not easily transferable. Of course, you can hire it out and find someone that knows that stuff, but it definitely helped us through those early days.
I've seen it way too many times where like it didn't arrive in one piece, and it creates a worse experience if it's your first
Not
time.
Grove.
There does a good experience. No, never. The cookies always arrive intact and soft. But you're right, man.
Yeah. No,
So
great.
as you're growing at a click of 240% to over 300% a year, how are you and and Mrs. Hogard, balancing this work-life relationship and setting goals to keep this challenging, but also like not burn out as you both manage full-time careers?
Jeez. Well, it helps to have a team. That's number one.
Wait, and hold on. You also have a new baby.
Yeah.
Right?
No, there's that.
Yeah, so
and
let's
we have
add
a new
that into
child.
the mix.
Yeah. You try to have fun, and partnerships, husband and wife, as you both know,
That's it.
is all about kind of like divide and conquer. And that's what we work to do. Obviously, it's just hard to juggle everything. Let's just be real.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like trying to stay sane through all of this is its own work constantly, daily. But just getting to a spot where, you don't have to rely on the corporate jobs to sustain. It's not so much a lifestyle, but, you want what's best for Raymond, our son. And, so that's how we really focus it. That's our mission is Grayson needs to leave his corporate job, and getting to that point. So that's how we mute the level of effort we're putting in, right? Weekly. Because we know the end goal, or at least the intermediate goal is for myself to leave.
Love that.
That's how we juggle it. That answers.
Have you had to we had a lot of conversations with other founders or, really successful executives, and time blocking is something that they use. I know Jason and I, we've gotten a little away from this, but we try to have a date night a week or something to step away from all of this. Is there anything like that you all do?
Well, for a while there, when we were at the house the whole time, it was not, it was harder to do the date nights. But I mean, we do a good job. I believe it really boils down to the communication side of things.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely do. We're not too steady with the daily or the weekly going out for a date night type deal, but we definitely go out to dinner and we spend time together. And juggling the new child it's its own
A thing.
it's its
That
own
takes up
thing,
most of the time. Yeah.
But no, we find the time by just acknowledging and being okay, here's how we're dividing and conquering this together.
Yeah.
And that seems to be working for both of us.
So for Sam and I, being that we're married, both in partnerships, a lot of our conversation at night, dinner table, date sometimes, revolves around the work we're doing in partnerships. Yeah. How often are you guys, talking about the business and the work
recipes.
you're doing with some of your partners or new cookies and stuff like that?
More than my wife would like.
That's great.
She'll stop and go, "Is this about cookies?" Because I'll just start talking. and like she won't even like be ready to listen, and I'll just be talking about the business. And so, it's a lot. It's a lot of cookies. I like the cookies. I'm constantly bombarded with it because of LinkedIn and because of the feedback we get and because of I just believe the impact we're having with them and for people that utilize our product. I mean, people are excited, like they're in disbelief that, whoa, a box of cookies, he did this, and I'm
Can
just
make that big of a difference.
can make that big of a difference. Like, it's fun. So like, I don't look at it again. You find something that you're really passionate about and love. You don't really care about working Saturday and Sunday.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
Or learning how to cold call and do marketing and all of that. Like,
yeah, of course. And it's like, I didn't, when I first picked up the phone, I didn't go, well, this is going to be, what it is today. And just again was like, well, let's help Marie and see where we can go with this and see if we can make it fun.
I love it.
And that's what we did. That's what we've been doing. So
I love that you led off by calling, cookies the relationship enhancer, obviously. And I think that's just the perfect way to put it. And, in my opinion, to make it, contextually relevant to the podcast, you're the friend with the ultimate benefit, right?
Oh,
the partner with the ultimate benefit, and a cookie can open any door. We used to always joke when we were in the gifting platform, and you have it on your bio that, direct mail and cookies in general get 100% open rate.
yeah.
Right. So you can help anyone get in any door and get any conversation started, get any relationship established and going. So like, you're always looking for those relationship enhancers or things to improve relationships, communication, etc. in and out of the business context. So I think this has just been a fascinating conversation, around what cookies, something as simple as cookies, can provide to relationships, to people in business, etc. And, to the tune of, 10 months in, 125,000 cookies a year. So good on you guys for building something spectacular.
Thank you.
no doubt.
Really appreciate
So
it.
we'll wrap this up. And I know we spoke the other day about you being a big, golfer, loving golf. I don't know if you're a big follower, but my final question to you, Grayson, is if you could send your cookies to anyone, dead or alive, could be a famous golfer, celebrity, author, whatever, president, to anyone dead or alive, who would you want to send a box of Grove cookies to?
A golfer, you said?
Anybody, any famous
Holy
celebrity,
smokes. My head went
author,
to
president, golfer. If
Oh
you
my
saw one person
gosh.
with a box of Grove cookies eating a snickerdoodle that doesn't exist, who would that person be?
I would love to send a box of cookies to Elon Musk. I think that would just
Nice.
Okay.
that would be hilarious.
First cookies on the moon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know if the cookies would make it through the 10 layers of executive assistant staff he probably has, but to get the feedback from him would be really funny.
Amazing.
And a cool experience for sure. So,
Well, podcast fam, if you got connections to Elon Musk, let's help Grove get some cookies to Elon.
Use the
That'd be
network,
great.
people.
where's the network?
Exactly. Man, this has been a wonderful conversation. Thanks for hanging out and chatting with us today. Hopefully all of our guests are now fiending for some cookies and going to their
I am.
gift mail provider of choice and getting that order put in.
Yeah, and
But
you can
that's-
always go to our website too, grovecookiecompany.com. So,
There you go. Go get them, y'all. Thanks for
Hey,
joining
wait,
us.
actually,
Oh,
hold up. I just remembered something. We had to do our. Jason, you didn't remember this either. We did our baby announcement virtually in 2020.
yes.
And I'm pretty sure we used Grove cookies because Sendoso. Yeah.
Did we?
did you?
Yes. We sent Grove cookies to Jason's family and they joined our baby shower virtually. And we wanted
Whoa.
to send them like a gift. And we used Grove cookies.
We did
Whoa.
send cookies. That was for Nora. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So 2021. Yep.
I totally forgot about that.
That's amazing. No
So
way.
there's a use case for you. Virtual
Yeah.
baby showers.
There we go. There you go. There's another use case. Let's explore that market.
Yeah.
There you
Announcements.
go. Yeah.
Awesome.
There you go.
Well, that's all for this week, friends. Thanks so much for joining us. See y'all next time.